On November the 17th, 2017, 4 new Minecraft mob concepts were uploaded to the official Minecraft YouTube channel. 2 days later, the 4 mobs would enter the very first of what would become known as the famous Minecraft mob votes during Minecon Live. For a period of 80 minutes, players had the ability to vote for the mob concept they wanted to see added to the game. With a total of only 4,000 to 5,000 people voting across the 3 polls, Mob B, the Monster of the Night Skies, would just edge out Mob C, the Great Hunger, by a mere 72 votes. Somehow, Mob B, whose concept video had only half as many views as all the others, had stolen the vote. It didn't make sense. Mob B should not have won, yet a very small number of individuals had just managed to make a very sizable change to the game. And just like that, it had now been set in stone. The mob that would be added to the game would be none other than the dangerous and terrifying Monster of the Night Skies. A few months later, in July of 2018, the Phantom would be added to the game in a cornerstone Minecraft update 1.13. Presumed to be a deadly mob capable of causing hostility in a realm no other mob had access to before. A deadly foe who would no doubt be uniquely challenging to take down, but would be rewarding, not only for its potential drops, but also for the thrill of killing one. At least that's what players thought, as the once reveled Monster of the Night Sky turned out to be monstrous for an entire different reason. Almost immediately, players would express their disdain for the mob, including TheMisterEpic from 2018, with posts requesting its removal racking up lots of agreement and approval. Players didn't want the Phantom to be fixed or changed, they wanted the mob to be removed from the game. They wanted the Phantom to simply cease from existence. The mob was so bad that Mojang even added a way to prevent it from ever spawning. No other mob in Minecraft history had ever caused such a backlash before. But why was the Phantom so universally hated almost instantly? Well, the main issue was with one of its unique quirks. The Phantom would only spawn when players had not slept or died for 3 or more in-game days, a period of an hour total. Now, oftentimes players will go more than this period without sleeping. For example, earlier on in a Minecraft world, it's common for players to spend well over an hour in caves or strip mines on the ground. Sleeping can be quite an inconvenience in such circumstances, as carrying around a bed in a cave is obviously annoying, as it's going to reset your spawn point and you won't even know when it's night and you have to sleep anyways. Players just in general forget to sleep, whether that be because they are in areas where mobs aren't spawning or inside their base. My point is, remembering to sleep every 3 days and forcing yourself to go out of the way to do so isn't an enjoyable mechanic, it's just plain annoying. Phantoms still remain just as annoying even as you progress through the world attaining better gear as well. I've lost count of the amount of times I've spent hours working on a mega build or farm, lighting my surrounding area up with torches so I can just keep building uninterrupted during the night, only to be ear raped and assaulted by phantoms, knocking me off high up platforms and being absolute nuisances to deal with when I'm trying to copy someone else's farm design. I mean, creating my own advanced and unique farm design. Trust me, if you think I'm overreacting here, I can promise you I'm far from the only person who is sick of dealing with these flying abominations while deep into a technical build. It's the fact that phantoms feel invasive, unlike any other mob in the game. Any other mob in the game you can just prevent from spawning with torches or lighting, not even mentioning that they are significantly easier to escape or simply ignore. Other mobs can be avoided or dealt with in a variety of ways, but phantoms don't work like that. They are significantly harder to escape and ignore because they are constantly above you and lighting ain't gonna stop them from spawning. No other mob forces you to sleep or have specific counterplay like this. We don't need a mob in the game that tells us it's bedtime. My mum already did that for years. It simply isn't enjoyable. If only the phantoms could be avoided by subscribing to TheMisterEpic instead, then most of you would still complain about them spawning because you aren't subscribed. Do I need to screech in your ear as well? You know what to do. No pressure. Now, you'd think that such an annoying and omnipresent mob would be at least worth killing, right? Well, if you don't want to deal with their annoyingly janky hitboxes from far away, you have to wait patiently for them to swoop you whilst losing part of your hearing in the process, hit them once, maybe twice if you're lucky, then wait for them to swoop you again 2 to 3 times per phantom for the entire night. Good luck hitting them all when 6 of them pull up at once. Then what are you rewarded with for your troubles? A phantom membrane, which is useless for your elytra you already have mending on, or useless because you don't even have an elytra yet. Did I mention that one membrane only restores 25% of an elytra's durability as well? And yes, I know it's used in slow falling potions, but seriously, how often are you using those? Unless you are trolling players on your server while being in admin mode to send them up thousands of blocks in the sky and making them wait 30 minutes to slowly fall down. The Phantom Membrane is one of the worst drops of any hostile mob in the game, barely fair considering the Phantom's increased time and effort to kill. And you know what's quite funny? If you do actually need phantom membranes for whatever reason and have just slept, you now have to wait an hour for them to spawn again. So they are also inconvenient to obtain in the rare circumstances you actually need them. How ironic. Now, at least on single player you can just sleep to avoid phantoms, but it's an entire different story on multiplayer. On the vast majority of survival multiplayer servers, there are just too many people online to ever skip a night. That means that phantoms are omnipresent. I've lost count of the number of times players on my server have outright asked for us to disable their spawning with the game rule, or somehow prevent them from spawning so frequently. And on a server with lots of players, we can't just simply remove them, because some players still do want them for their use in slow falling potions, meaning they have to stay. Phantoms have the most presence of any Minecraft mob in the game, and are some of the most annoying to handle, difficult to ignore, and pointless to kill mobs out there. There is something interesting which happened with the mob vote in 2017 though. On paper, the Phantom just should not have won. If we go back to the original 4 mob announcement videos, there's an interesting observation to be made. While all the other 3 mob announcement videos achieved over 1 million views, the Phantom video only got half as much, with 500,000. Mob A got almost 3 times the views on its announcement video compared to the Phantom. Beyond these single images, we got very little information about each mob, and each player would have voted off of what they thought looked most interesting. YouTube views are therefore a good measure of what players found most interesting, as well as the more players which clicked on a video, the more interest there was in that specific mob. So then, why did the Phantom, the mob which's video got significantly less views than all the others, demonstrating significantly less interest, get so many votes? Or maybe there was an issue with the vote itself. You may notice that the number of votes deciding to choose the Phantom was very low, especially when compared to mob votes years later. And the reason why is simple. The vote only lasted 80 minutes and was only available at a specific time during Minecon Live. For many parts of the world, this was a time where they were busy or maybe sleeping because the vote took place at 3:30 AM for them. And since the margin by which the Phantom won was so incredibly slim, provided the vote ran for longer and more people had the chance to cast their vote, based on the YouTube video views of each mob, it's considerably likely that another mob would have won altogether. This left a lot of players feeling like they were left to deal with the remains of a vote which they didn't even get the opportunity to vote in. Quite the bitter feeling. It seems that the lack of voting time may have truly been the reason the Phantom won. But even the players who actually got the chance to vote, or even dare I say it, actually voted for the Phantom, were left feeling a bit misled. We didn't get much information at all in the original announcement videos, and I guess many players thought the Phantom would be a lot more interesting. This isn't necessarily Mojang's fault either, but I do think that they realized the lack of information they provided in the first mob vote made a lot of people get the wrong impression, and did provide more details in later mob votes. Is the Phantom a lost cause though? Mojang seemingly have accepted the fact that the Phantom may not have been the best addition to the game, giving players a method of preventing it from spawning entirely in 1.15. But instead of outright removing it, could something be done to fix it? Here's a few methods of fixing the Phantom I came up with, as well as many of you did on Twitter. Making them deal significantly less or no knockback would solve the annoying issue of Phantoms knocking off high platforms when building at night. Increasing the speed at which they attack you and reducing the number of Phantoms which spawn together would make killing them more efficient and less time consuming, but would also have the unwanted side effect of making the flying assholes twice as fast, of course. Another option players have mentioned is to make them neutral mobs that always spawn at night, only attacking you if you attack them or get too close, while also making them seem more bat-like by making them glowy and have less annoying sound effects. I personally like this suggestion as it gives players the most choice. Increasing the XP it drops and maybe making it drop more useful items would make it worth killing, and increasing its hitbox size and health, while also reducing the amount of them that spawn in groups, would be some nice quality of life changes that would make them less annoying to deal with. At the end of the day, some players still want them removed entirely no matter what, and we may never truly know if the Phantom really did steal the vote or not. Be sure to subscribe. Thank you all so much for watching.